Someone commented on one of my videos recently and said that Chicago has 100,000 active gang members. And I've definitely heard this number before, and immediately I thought, that's cap. But it could be correct. So to get to the
That's definitely cap. Probably way more than that.
bottom of it, I kind of looked into the numbers, and the official number given by
Especially all these goddamn hood vlogs. All these hood vlogs, you know, they done spawned up like 100,000 more gangs, dude.
CPD, which is around 100,000, will put the number of active gang
What I
members in
just
the
said.
city higher than all of the soldiers in the Navy and Marine Corps reserves combined. And okay, let's talk about this. So in a bad year, like a very active and dangerous year, Chicago experiences 700 murders. And obviously all of them are not gang related. It's a huge city where unsolved crimes happen in every neighborhood. And I will argue the gang members are probably murdered more than anybody else, but 700 is only 0.7% of 100,000. And since every murder is not gang related, that would mean less than 0.7% of gang members die each year. Which is in stark contrast to what most people believe, as there's a common misconception that Chicago is just shooting all day, all night, all over the city. Clearly that's not true. Someone told me I was capping when I said that less than 10% of the city was gang related, since people outside of Chicago would just argue that anyone who lives in the hood is a gang member. But Chicago has a population of 2.7 million. So if there are 100,000 gang members, and this number is correct, that means that only 3% of the city is in gangs. Now take into account what I've said in past videos, that it only takes one psychopath to run up the murder rate in a neighborhood, but 100,000 is still a number that leaves me a bit skeptical, and here's why.
100,000?
I'll say that the Chicago police are heavily overworked and probably overstretched. These guys are riding around Chicago with serious PTSD. Like, you want to see a 1,000-yard stare? Go to Inglewood and look at the first police car that rides past you, and I promise you will get the meanest mug you have ever gotten.
If you or a loved one
go somewhere on Madison or something.
These Illinois youth facilities or treatment
Just go out west, period.
you may qualify for
Your life.
One house. Oh, you. Start running, I'm gonna shoot you. Start running. Start running.
You just, I got you on camera saying you gonna shoot me.
I remember walking down 68th and Loomis, which is in the heart of...
Damn, these niggas. Damn, just like that.
Promise.
They done had enough of they shit in that neighborhood, wherever he at. They said enough is enough. I'm done chasing y'all niggas. You run, I'm shooting.
You'll get the meanest mug you have ever gotten in your life.
One house. Oh, you.
Sorry to get off topic, but did y'all see that, y'all remember that dude who was recording his car and then the police officers, they like punched through the door and got to punching him and stuff? Yeah, they said that cop, he ain't getting charged with no crimes. He pretty much didn't do nothing wrong. Like, that's crazy. I don't know, I just thought of that while watching all this CPD stuff and police drama. Let me know y'all comments on that.
Start running.
If y'all saw that.
Start running. Start running.
He's smiling.
I remember walking down 68th and Loomis, which is in the heart of what is normally known as a pretty dangerous area, and I have never seen a cop just stare at me while driving, not even looking at the road, bro, just genuinely looking at me like he wanted to kill me. I was just on my way to get some snacks or something from the gas station. I was in high school and it was a summer break. They don't do this in every neighborhood. Like the neighborhood that I'm from, they might be a little aggressive, but the police in Inglewood are different. So to be fair to the Chicago police, I'm gonna look at this from the angle that the number is inflated and that Chicago actually has less gang members than are reported. And I'm gonna look at it from the angle that this 100,000 number is correct and if the number is even higher. The reason I'm a skeptic of this 100,000 number is because, and I'm not sure if they do this in other cities, but obviously my New York people know about stop and frisk. So you can't just own a gun in Chicago, at least without permits. And as a teenager, you definitely can't have one at all. So it's pretty simple. When you live in the hood, if you're walking with 3 or more friends, as you would normally do as a teenager, the police, whether they're uniformed or undercover, will hop out the cars as fast as they can and say, "Get up against the fucking wall." And they'll just pat you down, and if you have no gun, they'll go on their way. But sometimes they talk and reveal things that you probably wouldn't know. For instance, one of the many times this happened to me, the police asked us if we were associated with whatever the closest clique was to where we got stopped. And obviously we say no. But one time I remember a cop telling us that we were in the gang database as part of a gang that we had no association with. Like, the specific clique they told us we were a part of wasn't even our age. It was a group of guys that were a few grades below us, and not even people that we had been seen with in public or people that we hung with in private. But since they got our IDs every time they stopped and searched us, and we were walking on the block near a known hangout of this certain clique, which is literally just a block, the Chicago police had us all listed as gang members. Just imagine if the FBI actually did their job in the city and brought a RICO against that gang. We would have got...
Pretty sure that's called stereotyping. Back to the video.
Picked up too. Like, damn, bro. My mom lives around the corner. I was 17. Where the hell else was I supposed to walk? And ironically, the gang that was our age in that area actually did get picked up on a RICO. And thinking back on this right here just lets me know that the number has to be somewhat inflated. Before the database was shut down, the number of gang members in the database had grown to about 135,000, which means that probably at least 30,000 of those names were actually false. In fact, according to CBS, who covered the shutdown of the database, there were 90 people listed in there that were over 110 years old, so dead people, and some of them were as young as 7. That's crazy. For one, most gang members are teenagers, so you know how to find out who's in a gang? Just look at the social media, bro. It's not like these kids are hiding it. They'll definitely post whatever block they hang out on social media because they're all high school kids, so this is where they spend most of their time anyway. It's not exactly organized crime.
So pretty much some of this system database is very much inaccurate, or like they probably like listing off. Let's say they said a nigga from 2005 was a gang member. They probably still got him on the list type shit. Like, they have not updated anything. That's how I'm looking at it.
And organized crime is clearly too complicated for Chicago because the police lost track of the mob so hard that most of them were able to work in city government and control city assets like garbage trucks. And not to mention illegal gambling. Before Illinois finally legalized gambling because they realized there was nothing they could do about it, I had no idea that it wasn't allowed. Because when I used to walk in bars, underage by the way, there was always a slot machine. Why? Well, because the mob will come in and install a machine for you in return for their piece of the profit, and I've talked about this before in a video. But yeah, the police have a lot on their plate, and people that are not from the city have no idea what statistics coming out of the city even mean because they don't know about the huge grain of salt that it comes with, which is more like a metric ton of salt. And the higher the number of active gang members is, actually reduces the percentage of them that can statistically be murderers. Because again, all it takes is one King Von to ruin a neighborhood. It is very common to have the murder rate of an entire neighborhood to drop after one person dies or goes to jail. Some areas have seriously been gentrified after one guy died. I'm not even trying to be funny, this is actually what I've personally seen. And the police know this too. The problem is they don't always know who the guy is, and sometimes multiple things end up being pinned on one guy who definitely did it, and the police just let him run free out of confusion, even if they suspected him. And the police in Chicago love to troll. Like not too long ago, somebody recorded the police playing music from a rapper named Q50 in the spot where they thought his ops were at. Like, what are y'all on? And them picking you up and dropping you off in a neighborhood they think you at war with, like CJ and San Andreas. That's real. And once again, they don't actually know who all the gang members are, so this also happens to non-affiliated kids as well. And I didn't make this video to point fingers at the police because you can say F the police all you want, but when you get in trouble, there's no one you'd be happier to see. Just ask anyone in the hood if they ever told the police to go away after they got shot. These guys do a very dangerous job because even outside of the gangs, there are actually lunatics walking around Chicago. Active serial killers, homeless veterans with PTSD that become drug addicts with deadly skills. There are former soldiers from the Balkan Wars here, Albanian mobsters, actual neo-Nazis, and extremist groups from all cultural backgrounds. And that's not even counting the mob. I mean, there was a mob-style hit in 2020 on a guy allegedly associated with the 12th Street Players, which is a mostly Italian and Polish gang, that's still unsolved today. But many people suspect that it was the Chicago outfit that killed him. The Chicago outfit being the same mob that was run by Al Capone 100 years ago. Meaning that all the mob associates in the city are not decrepit old men as some people think. Because I don't think an 81-year-old man was responsible.
Introducing the new 2-in-1 ED plus testosterone treatment through HIMS.
You know, the mob moves like they incognito. They leaving all the bullshit to the niggas.
Stronger and
for this. Okay, so now we can try the argument that the Chicago police are right, and there may actually be at least 100,000 gang members, maybe even more. Now, aside from the gangs that have rappers and interviews on social media, we'd have to take into account the guys that move in secret. Guys that the database probably wouldn't account for. So, we have areas of the city that have been strongholds for international gangs. Chinatown, it's been a hotspot for criminal enterprises for over 100 years, including major drug trafficking way back. And a little over a decade ago, the boss of a fraud ring was indicted by the FBI.
I knew it was some shit going on in Chinatown.
More than 7,000 people.
I ain't watch all them goddamn Rush Hour movies for no
These
reason.
fake documents allowed people, most likely from China, to obtain legal identification in Illinois with the help of at least 200 different bribes he paid to employees of the Secretary of State's office. Now, this man, Junyun Zhang, was the boss of a large and well-connected fraud ring that, in true Chicago fashion, had city and state government in their pocket. And aside from underground illegal casinos, I'm sure that some of this is still going on today. And moving on to a little bit further north in the city, according to the 2023 transcript of a case that ended in a mistrial, Gene Casano and Giacomo Gaglione, who are mob associates in Chicago, have been wiretapped by the FBI since 2016 in an attempt to build cases against the Elmwood Park faction of the Chicago mob, as well as the Grand Avenue Street faction. Not only were these guys accused of extorting, loan sharking, and arranging beatings for people who owed them money, but they were also, of course, involved in illegal gambling rings, as well as getting protection money from a woman who essentially put together Diddy parties on the West Side. Jessica Nesbitt is a madam, which essentially means that she manages a fleet of prostitutes, and she even had a client list with 9,000 people in it. And this client list included lawyers, police officers, and government employees. But the paperwork also alleges, like I said, that these mob guys are also into several legitimate businesses as well. And the woman, despite being found guilty, was only sentenced to 2 years of probation, and as usual, the client list just didn't matter. And I don't think Big Gino was beating anyone himself, so that...
Money talks. Like, you see the difference in crimes when it comes to, like, the niggas versus these mob bosses, and, like, they in political affairs, and, like, look at the shit they doing.
Has to be younger guys working under him,
really,
but of course there are.
It's really levels to this crime shit.
There's a hierarchy. Now, like I said, his case ended
I just said that. Hierarchy.
What the mob does, they beat cases. But if you have a crew that claims a street and y'all beat and extort people while sponsoring what is essentially human trafficking, you're a gang. If you have a stronghold in an area where you operate a huge fraud ring, turning smuggled people into U.S. citizens illegally while bribing the authorities, you are a gang. But there's just no way for the Chicago police to keep track of all of this. So what's my verdict? Honestly, counting every single criminal group and organization, the city might be at 100,000 gang members altogether, if not a little more. But it's important to remember that it's not just as cut and dry as some outsiders believe. This number doesn't mean there's 100,000 teenagers in the hood standing around with guns throwing up gang signs. Chicago is way more diverse than many people know. Chicago is the largest Polish city outside of Poland because remember, there are more Polish speakers in Chicago than there are people in Charleston, South Carolina. There's also more Bulgarians in Illinois than any other state. And in the end, the question of whether the police are hiding statistics or if it's just too much to keep track of, my answer is that...
How the hell this city so damn diverse but yet still segregated? I said it. We still segregated.
It's most likely going to be both of them. But thank you guys for watching as always. And thank you for supporting me, man. It really means a lot. We're halfway to 150K subscribers, which is pretty surreal to me. But obviously it wouldn't be possible without...
Well, that's the end of that video. And this is why I like watching these reactions. Because just like... Well, okay. This is why I like watching these reactions, because you learn shit every day. I didn't know the mob shit. Well, I ain't gonna say I didn't know. Well, yeah, I didn't know the mob was still active like this. These niggas is still doing hits. They just more chill with it, you know.